Okay, so you guys had a lot to say about not keeping promises to children. I heard you say that children may be children now, but they're going to grow up and be adults someday. And if adults should keep promises to each other, they should also keep promises to children. And I also heard you say that if adults don't keep promises to children, then children are going to learn not to keep promises. And they're going to grow up not keeping promises. And I also heard you say that if someone doesn't keep a promise, then other people might know what the secret was, and that child might feel embarrassed. Okay? And I think, you know, it's very important to keep promises to anybody, to children, to other adults. For me, it's very, very important. Okay? And if I were to ever break a promise, it would not be on purpose, and I would feel very, very sorry. And I would feel like I would owe you an apology. Okay? So I think it's very important to keep promises to children. But this isn't how this person feels. It says, "But Colleen's just a child," said a member of the school board. "You don't have to keep promises to children." "I do," said Carla. "She's been trying to change her religion," said Colleen's mother. "Colleen came home from school and announced she didn't want to be Catholic anymore. She wants to be a Zen monk." Carla laughed, though she knew that was a mistake. She tried to explain about saying hello back to someone who says hello to you, but no one seemed to understand what that had to do with being a Zen monk. "You're not allowed to teach religion in public school," said the president of the school board, "and you weren't even supposed to talk to her child in the first place." He apologized to Colleen's mother and assured her it wouldn't happen again. A woman in the front row raised her hand. "I never had a counselor when I went to school," she said. "I don't understand what they do exactly." "Why don't you explain to the parents what you do and how you help different children?" the principal suggested. "Mostly I just talk with them," said Carla. "I listen to their problems, but I never tell them what to do. I try to help them learn to think for themselves." "But isn't that what school is for?" asked the woman. "To tell kids what to think?" What do you think about that? You think school is to tell you what to think? I don't think so. I don't think so. As a teacher, I want you to know how to think for yourself. I can't run around and do all your thinking for you. Okay? You are here to learn how to think. That's why it doesn't matter sometimes if you get the answer right or wrong. It matters how you thought about the problem. Okay? Of course, you're happy if you get more answers right. But sometimes there's more than one right answer. Okay? I believe it's more important to teach them how to think instead of what to think, said Carla. "But what if they do something bad? Don't you tell them it's wrong?" asked the man sitting next to her. "No," said Carla. "I think it's much better if they figure it out for themselves." "What if there was a boy who bit his teacher?" asked a father. "What?" Carla exclaimed. "Wouldn't you tell him not to bite her?" he asked. "No, I'd talk to him about it and try to find out why he bit her, but what if he keeps on biting her?" asked the man. "What if every day he sneaks up behind her and bites her on her butt? Then what would you do?" "This is getting ridiculous," said Carla. "Tell him what you'd do," said the principal. Carla sighed. "I'd try to help the boy understand the reason he wants to bite his teacher, and then help him reach the conclusion that he shouldn't do it." "How long would that take?" asked the woman. "I don't know. A month? Possibly. And meanwhile he keeps biting his teacher?" said the first man. "She could get seriously She could die," said another man. "How would you feel then?" "What if the kid had rabies?" someone else shouted. "Don't you think he should get a rabies shot?" "I bet you'd feel differently if he bit you on your butt," someone called from the afternoon. Everyone began talking at once. "What if he bit you?" "You'd punish him then, wouldn't you?" "Then you wouldn't wait for him to think for himself, would you?" "Not if he bit you." "What if he bit you?" Carla uncrossed her ankles, then crossed them the other way. As she looked at the angry group of parents, she had a horrible feeling they all wanted to bite her butt. Chapter 38. Bradley Chalkers. Homework. Book report. My Parents Didn't Steal an Elephant by Uriah C. Lasso. Mrs. Ebbels' class, room 12, Red Hill School, last seat, last row, next to Jeff. Okay, remember the last time he wrote all that out, and at the end he wrote black eye. Okay, so he's taken black eye off and he's written next to Jeff. I think that's a good sign. Okay, and he has a title, My Parents Didn't Steal an Elephant by Uriah C. Lasso by Bradley Chalkers. My Parents Didn't Steal an Elephant was a very funny and crazy book by Uriah C. Lasso, a funny author to write such a book. It's a story told by a kid. The kid's parents are in jail because they stole an elephant, except they are innocent. Hey, I just realized something. You know what? You never know the kid's name. I just realized that. You know what else, too? You don't know if the kid is a boy or a girl. I just realized that right now as I was writing this book report. because I don't know whether to write he or she. I told you it was crazy. The kid lives with his aunt and uncle. They're crazy too. They put wallpaper up in the garage for no reason. I told you they were crazy. Ace is crazy too. He's the lawyer for the kid's parents. He makes the kid practice crying for an hour every day so the kid will be able to cry good in court. Only when the kid finally gets to court, the kid doesn't cry, the kid laughs. Then everybody else laughs too. The kid's parents get to go home because they're innocent. Except, do you want to know something? I'm not so sure. I mean, if they really were innocent, then who ate all the peanuts? I told you it was crazy. The end. The end. Absolutely wonderful, said Carla. Is it good? Asked Bradley. You captured the very essence of the book. He smiled, even though he didn't know what essence meant. They were sitting around the table. They were sitting around the round table. It was Thursday before school. Bradley had to turn in his book report to Mrs. Ebel, but he wanted Carla to see it first, just in case he ripped it up. Carla was wearing a fluffy pink sweater. I always wondered what happened to the peanuts, too, she said. Me too, said Bradley, and if they could have hid the elephant in the garage. That's why they put the wallpaper there, to cover up the fingerprints. Do elephants have fingerprints? Asked Carla. Maybe they have trunk prints, he laughed. Well, I have to go to Mrs. Ebel's class. Here's your book back. Thank you. I didn't write on it or spill food or anything. I'd like for you to keep it, said Carla. It's my present to you. But I thought it was one of your favorite books. It is. That's why I want to give it to you. If I didn't like it, then it wouldn't be much of a present, would it? He smiled. I wish I had a present to give you, he said. You already gave me one. I did? What was it? The book report. The smile left his face. What's the matter? Well, I'm supposed to give it to Mrs. Ebel, but that's okay. You can have it. It wouldn't be much of a present if I didn't want it to. Carla laughed and shook her head. That's very sweet, Bradley, but it's not what I meant. I want you to give it to Mrs. Ebel. It just makes me very happy that you did such a wonderful job. That's the present you gave me. Really? Really, said Carla. It was the best present I could have gotten. He thought that was great. He was able to give it to Carla and still give it to Mrs. Ebel. What's wrong? Carla wiped her eyes. The corners of her mouth trembled. Are you crying? He asked. Bradley, I have something to tell you, she said. I hope you can listen to what I have to say without feeling scared or upset. He suddenly felt very scared and upset. I want you to turn and talk and make a prediction about... I didn't tell you to make a prediction about yet. Make a prediction about what she's going to say.